And then knowledge is about what you know, wisdom is about the how. Do you need to experience it in order to be a knowledgeable person or to be a wise person on a certain subject?
I don't like to use the word that because even if two people experience the same thing, like they're still gonna have two different perspectives.
The guy on the field or the guy studying, they should have different sayings on whether or not we go to war. And then knowledge is about what you know, wisdom is about the how. That hit me so fucking deep.
Yeah, how so?
How is it about? Because I guess actually relates to. We've talked about this book, the guy that went to the concentration camp, Viktor E. Frankl. Remember? Because I think he said that, which is kind of weird. On the internet, they give a credit to Nietzsche, but I think it's this guy that tells you, like, if you know the how, you can bear any. If you know the why, you can bear any how.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this is like before that. So this guy says, if you know the why, you can bear any how. And this John is saying, that's how I put it, but I don't know if this makes sense now. Knowledge is about what you know, wisdom is about the how. So I guess if you go back, so if you know your why, you would know your how. If you know your how, then you would have the wisdom, and then the wisdom it would bring you to knowledge. So almost like
I think maybe you said that backwards. The You said the wisdom will bring you to knowledge.
no, because he said knowledge is about what you know, and wisdom is about the how. So I guess knowledge is below wisdom, for me. For you know.
So the knowledge will bring you to the wisdom, right?
Yeah. So
Because
I'm saying
knowledge.
all of this backwards, but if you start in the why, that means that you already have all of it. Does that make sense? I guess also because a true wise person would always tell you like examples on how to do things and not necessarily like just like spell out some like quotes and stuff. It would actually tell you like with examples how to do things, like, like I don't for example, some wise quote like whatever, you should choose love above violence, whatever, but like someone that would tell you when you are facing this certain situation. So like you, I think the how gives you tools much more than the knowledge that just kind of says in like a more generalized way. So,
I think I get where you're going now. I don't know what Nietzsche went through in his life. I haven't really read about him, but I'm planning to. But it sounds like when he's referring to knowledge that is just theoretical, is just something that's in your head that you haven't really experienced. So I think that's maybe where you were tying in Viktor Frankl because Viktor Frankl brought the theoretical. Well, if a person was theoretically in this type of situation and they had this knowledge, they would be able to apply it to this situation to overcome their circumstances, which is what Viktor Frankl did. So he brought the knowledge and applied it, and that became the how. Like he showed how to do that. So that would be like bringing the knowledge together to get in how to get to the wisdom, which is kind of like what you're saying. Is knowledge is just you can have all the theoretical practices in your head. You can think you know how to shoot a gun because you went to a shooting range, but when someone breaks into your house or whatever, you actually have to shoot. Or if you go to war and you actually have to shoot, and people are shooting back at you, it's completely different than the theoretical simulation you had when you were in a shooting range. Uh, if that is that what you're trying to say? That's kind of how it comes off to me.
kinda, but I'm also not saying that you have to experience it to have the wisdom and to have the knowledge or to be able to like share it. Is that, do you think you have to? That's interesting, actually. That's an interesting conversation. Do you need to experience it in order to be able to not preach it, but to to be a knowledgeable person or to be a wise person on a certain subject. Do you believe in that? I don't know if I believe in that. I don't know if it's just like a more generalized life experience is enough for you to be able to be talking about things. Does that make sense? Like, do you think you need to experience it for you to like be able to talk about it or to be someone of reference about something?
I don't think you have to experience it to be able to talk about it, but I think your words will hold more weight if you have experienced it. People will, I mean, because you'll just have a different perspective if you did experience it. Um, you know,
That for you from different you'd mean better than as opposed to someone who has yet to experience it.
I don't like to use the word better because even if two people experience the same thing, like they're still gonna have two differing perspectives because they're two different people. So who's to say which one is better than the other? You know.
No, that is true. So in this
Um,
case, you think that the guy on the field or the guy studying, they should have different sayings on whether or not we go to war.
I think I think all three can bring something of value to the table to the equation. Um,
But they cannot have the same weight, they cannot have the same importance, I think. Or do you think they
but
should?
maybe um, I don't know if I think about it in terms like that because maybe what if the person that has the 5% in it, the one that you get attributing the 5% to, what if that person says something or has some type of idea that then triggers something in one of the others' brain that helps them develop an entirely different plan based on just that 5%, even though they have no knowledge of war at all. Because they can have knowledge in another subject that could correlate to war, because I think everything correlates in some way. So just because they don't have experience in that one particular subject doesn't mean that the knowledge that they have can't be valuable in some way because again, they could say something that literally opens up a whole new train of thought to the other two people.
That is true. But if the decision was to be made by those three people, because it's also not fair that it's attributed to just one, but it's also not fair that they all have the same amount of saying. And I think in terms of brainstorming, I agree with you, but in terms of decision making, I don't know. You know what I mean? This is obviously a criticism to like the concentration of power. So it's actually like trying to bring or not a solution, but an alternative to the concentration of power and to the one person making decisions as opposed to being a collective decision, you know?
I guess essentially what I'm saying is whatever that person that you're giving, that you're saying has all the most power, whatever they decide, the people that have counseled them have more weight in the decision. They had a big stake in the determination of that decision, even though they're not the ones making that decision. If
Mm.
they weren't there, the other person would be making an entirely different decision. So even though they're not having the final say, yes, we do this, the input that they had a huge impact on the fact that that person chose, yes, we do this.
You're talking
So
about
essentially,
the 5% one.
yeah. So
Yeah.
essentially, more. They have more than 5% in the decision, although on the surface it may seem like they did. If that makes
No,
sense.
it does make sense. So I guess in a way we agree that bringing people that might not be super knowledgeable, it's also of value. But I guess my time thing that I was telling you in the beginning of filtering people through the amount of time that they spend on doing something is just so that everybody doesn't vote on everything. There's stuff that I don't want to vote on, because I have no idea and I know that my vote is not I don't want to have my vote on those kind of things. But I also don't think that we shouldn't. You know who? Have you? I don't know if you've heard of him, but Jack Fresco. He has this thing. Actually, we could go one day. It's in Florida. It's called the Venus Project. I think you'd really like it to look into that. Basically, he like developed. It's a bit utopian, but he developed this like